Hey people, I am so sorry. We had a technical difficulty. Here I am with you live now. For the first time, um, we are here. This is the CFJ Coaching Success School live show. And yes, this is one of the greatest opportunities, right? That you are going to see. This is what happens as a coach, right? Technical difficulties. Then what do? We work with them and we get going. So here's the good news, right? This is something that we talk about at the CFJ Coaching Success School. And that is when things happen, you work with them, right? Like the coaching as a profession is a constant opportunity to try new things, to lean in, and to get messy. So I apologize for the late start. That will not happen with next week's show. And here's the good news. We're here. We're here live. So I'm glad you're here. Some of you already know about the work that I do. Some of you already know about the CFJ Coaching Success School. And some of you are brand new to this. So welcome. I see some of you are now popping on. That's fantastic. Thank you for hanging in there. Um, I have been a professional coach for well over 15 years. And my start was really when I was working at the University of Santa Monica, where I earned my master's degree in spiritual psychology. And that is where it all began, just so you know. So my start was really, I had no idea about this profession. You know, I'd kind of heard about it a little, but there was nothing in my radar that was like, I'm going to pursue professional coaching in my life. And I'm going to do that. That's what's going to happen. And so I say that to all of you who are newer to the profession, who are wondering like, oh my gosh, how does one do this? There's no right way to enter this profession other than get yourself around other professional coaches, get yourself around people who are further down the path than you, who can help you. That's really, really important. And I'm going to share a little bit about my background, and then I'm going to open it up because today isn't really about me. Today is about you. Like today, my intention is that we start to talk today about what it takes to create a business as a professional coach. And how do you do that? And how do you do it well? How do you do it in a way that earns you a good living, that makes your life work for you, and that you get to serve people in their own transformation and growth? So I'm going to share a little bit about my start, and then we're just going to open it up to some questions in the comments. So let's go for this. And if you have questions now, you can start putting them in the comments, and I can start weaving them in to what I'm talking about. Because I don't want to just be talking. I want to be assisting you and helping you get started on this or get further down the path on this. All right, so here we go. My background, as I said, I was working at the University of Santa Monica. I was like, something's not quite feeling right anymore. I had a great job. I was working with great people involved in an incredible mission. The University of Santa Monica is one of the most unusual places on the planet, and it was deeply transformational in my own life. And I'm so grateful because that set me on this path. But I was having one of those moments that many people have in their professional lives, right? Where I wasn't sure what was going on. And because of my work at the university, I couldn't use the people at the university to talk about this, right? You know, didn't feel right. And this guy had come and given a talk at the university. And he had talked to the faculty and the staff, and his name was Steve Chandler. And I remembered him, and I was like, maybe he can help me. I don't know. And he'd given his email out to everybody. And I wrote to him, and I said to him, I don't know if you know anything about coaching. I don't know if you know anything, you know, I'm kind of in this weird place. And I sent it. 2 weeks go by, no answer. And I'm like, oh, that's a dead end, people. Okay. And then what occurred is I got an email back. And it just said, call me. And there was a phone number. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll call you. And then right behind that was another email that was like all these testimonials of people who coached. And I thought, oh my gosh, this guy knows something. And I picked up the phone and I was like, hello? I mean, who just says call me? And we talked for 2 hours. And even though as a University of Santa Monica graduate, I can say that I have really effective and deep listening skills, and I've been listened to by many, many people that are extraordinary, it was different to be listened to by Steve as a coach, and that was life-changing. And he was so curious about me and what was happening. That in and of itself was life-changing. So that's important to know. Curiosity is in and of itself transformational for people. When we are genuinely curious about people, it's profound the impact it has on them, because many people have never been listened to with curiosity before. So I want to really state that. And he became my coach, and I often say this, he is 85 to 90% of my own success in my professional life and in my personal life. I mean, the University of Santa Monica got me started, and I will always be grateful for those tools and skills. And Steve Chandler, the power of a coach in your life is beyond anything I can say with words. So I am a product of coaching, and that's a really important thing to be aware of. You want to be around people who are products of coaching as a professional coach. So Natasha, I am going to look to you. So this is Natasha, and she said, I just started enrolling for my second group, and I have a few close friends who I think would be deeply served by what it's offering. How do I approach that without sounding silly? They are people who I'm in frequent contact with, people I go to for my own personal stuff and hold space for me. All right, so Natasha, that is a great question, and I'm going to answer it. I've had close friends do groups that I led. My business partner and best friend, Michelle Bauman, who is no longer with us, she passed away about 5 years ago. She also had close friends come and do the groups that we ran together. And the best way to do that, Natasha, is to say to them, look, I'm gonna do this in real time with you. Like, I'm gonna be like, if it were you and you were my close friend, I would just say, hey, Natasha, I want to talk to you about something. And I want to give you a heads up. Like, this is an idea I have, and it may not work for you at all. And it's totally fine. It may not work for you. And, I'm doing this group, and I keep thinking that it might be helpful to you. And that may seem really weird, right? Because we're good friends. So I want to put it out there to you that you could participate. And it's totally fine to say no. Like, if this feels really weird and off, like, just tell me and we'll forget about it. And I can't keep denying this nudge I get to talk to you about it. So tell me what you think right now. And if this feels totally bizarre, let's take it off the table. So Natasha, you gotta be so willing to give them permission to say no. It's really important, okay? Permission to say no is one of the most important things we need to do in the world of professional coaching, whether it's with a good friend or someone who we think is a potential client. Every stage I'm giving, and I coach coaches into giving people permission to say no. And you know why? Because nobody does that. That eliminates sales resistance. The moment we say, and if you don't want to have a conversation, totally fine. Like, all good. Because sales resistance is like in the water we drink now. Like, we're always like, oh God, does this person want something? Do they want to try to do something with me? So we want to eliminate that from us. That is a really different thing in the world of service-based enrollment. Like, I over here do not need anything. If I can be helpful, I'd be willing to talk to you, but it's so okay with me if we don't. So that's really another key, right? Like, permission to say no is one of my favorite things to help coaches get more practice in how do we do that in a way that's real. You can't just say it. Like, I'm going to give you, oh yeah, say no if it doesn't work for you. But if inside we're like, I want you so badly, then it feels sticky and inauthentic. So you have to learn, like, what does it take to become someone who can give people permission to say no and really mean it and really be like, I'm good over here. I'm fine. Because there are how many people on the planet? Like 8 billion now. there's infinite clients, infinite clients. And we need to keep remembering that. Like, there are so many people we can serve and help. So, Natasha, okay, good. You got it. All right, Erin, I'm just getting started. How do you transition from a friend-mentor relationship to a coaching relationship? So, Erin, I want to ask a clarifying question here. Are you saying, like, how do somebody who's a friend of yours that you want to coach, or how do you create a coach for yourself? So, let me know the answer to that, because I don't want to answer it in two different ways. So again, Erin, I want to know how you want to ask. How do I transition from? Oh, okay. So you want to know, like, if I have a friend who I potentially would like to coach, right? So my answer is it depends. It depends on how close the friend is, right? And feel free, as I'm sharing in the comments, you can be like, oh, this is a great, super close friend, or not so much, because it depends on what circle they're in, right? I have a policy, like, I don't want to coach super close friends, right? Like, that doesn't work for me. But if someone wants to do my group as a close friend, like, I have dear friends who've come to my coaching school, and it's fantastic, right? They're in a room of 40 other people. I can serve them, the other faculty can serve them. We have a fabulous faculty member, Amber Chris, who you're going to meet in a couple weeks. She's there all the time. She can serve my friends in a way that then I don't have to. But an intimate friend to coach as an individual, if that's what you mean, Erin, like a super close friend, that's one that can get a little tricky, right? Like, because the reality is, when you coach a close friend, it can change the friendship, and you need to be okay with that. That's number one. If they were willing, you need to be okay with it, right? Like, if I coached an intimate dear friend, chances are the friendship would change, because being a coach is not being a friend. Like, when I'm a coach, I'm not being a friend. It doesn't mean we don't have a good time together in the coaching, and it doesn't mean that, but I'm not a friend, right? Because sometimes as coaches, we have to deliver challenging a reflection for someone. I was just in a conversation. I was visiting another coach who has a school, Isla Hale Coates, who's fabulous. And somebody said, is it part of being a professional coach having to say edgy things? I thought it was a great question. And my answer was, I'm not in the profession, I'm not seeking to say edgy things to people. However, my job is to be willing to, because sometimes we're the only ones who might say something to someone that they really need to hear. We might be the only person in their lives willing to say to them. Have you considered that sometimes you feel really controlling, and I wonder if people in your life feel like you're really bossy? Has anyone ever said that to you? You got to be willing, right? So, Erin, your question, or an acquaintance you've mentored for free for years. I love that. Let me share with you. That's a great one. And what you're talking about is converting an acquaintance into a paid client. So that's converting someone from a more like casual relationship into something formal. One of the best ways to do that is to start to say to them, hey, look, we've been talking for a long time. And I want to offer you something. And you can say no. Like, no is totally fine. I'm a professional coach now, and I want to offer you like a real conversation with my coaching hat on. Like, my gift, real conversation, does not mean we would choose to work together, but I want to really give you the full experience if that's something that you want to do, and it's fine to say no. So I'd want to create a formal conversation around, if that makes sense. Like, I want it to be different. Like, I want to say, hey, I want to offer you this. I'm going to put on my official professional coaching hat, and we do a conversation, and we really get into your life and your opportunities, and it would be different than how we've currently been engaging. And hey, it's totally fine with me if you're like, I don't want to do that. So Erin, let me know, does that make sense? Does that feel helpful to you? okay? Clara, I know you. I love your question. So Clara's question, other than your CFJ coaching and University of Santa Monica programs, are there any specific coaching programs I've heard about or come across that would be helpful to take, and would you recommend? Clara, I'm going to be straight with you. Like, there's lots of great coaching programs. I don't know a ton of them intimately, right? Because this is another aspect of professional coaching, right? Like, there are so many coaching programs out there now, right? And the University of Santa Monica is actually not a coaching program. It's a program in spiritual psychology. They're not attempting to produce professional coaches. They're helping people learn the principles and practices of spiritual psychology as a way to transform your own life. It makes for a great coach, and it's not designed for that. But people do go there to be like, I want to learn how to be a coach, and that's a great way to do it. There are so many coaching programs now. I couldn't even begin to there are just so many. I don't have my finger on the pulse of those, because you also don't have to. This profession, there's no requirement to go through a formal training program. Like, we have coaches in my school who are self-taught, right? They've gone from being in the world of professional leadership, right, in corporations, and they want to become coaches. So they end up in my school because they want to learn how to start that process and really grow their business. But they've only coached inside of an organization, not taken any formal coaching program. And there are people who do that really well and become very successful coaches. So in my school, what I say to people is, look, I am not an advocate that everyone must go through a professional training program. That's a personal decision. And I encourage people to, if they want that, right? If it's like, look, I need that for more structure and confidence as I begin. I want to know more about how to coach, which is different than learning how to grow your business. And I'm going to talk about that for a few minutes because I think it'll be helpful. And if people have more questions, throw them in the chat, right? Like, I'm here to answer questions. And next week, I promise you, what's going to happen next week is I'm going to do some live coaching. So I want people to know that in the next show, we're going to do some live coaching where you'll join me. So what I want to say is, this is a profession. There's no federal regulation, right? Unlike the world of therapy where you have to get licensed, the world of professional coaching doesn't work like that. And I'm a fan of that because Steve Chandler, for a great example, he's not certified. He's not, his training was really through his own personal life and his own personal growth work. Like, all of the faculty who teach at my school, none of them are certified as professional coaches. All of them have done a lot of deep personal growth work. So Devin Bandison, big background in Landmark, in Byron Katie, in all sorts of stuff that have deepened him, but also given him a framework through which to coach people, right? Which is really what I did. Stephen McGee, who also teaches at my school, not certified, University of Santa Monica graduate, has done tons of different kinds of personal growth work in other arenas, and not certified. Steve Chandler, his joke is, not only am I not certified, I'm not even justified. Like, bankruptcy, alcoholism, like, those were his training programs in a way, although he's done tons. Byron Katie, 3 Principles, Landmark, like, I don't even know. There's at least 20 different kinds of things Steve Chandler has done, plus some. So Clara, for you, what I offer to you is, like, you get to decide. There is no requirement to do a professional certification program, and I support people, right? It can really help create a sense of confidence through which to launch. And I want to also be a voice for personal growth. Deep work makes for the best coach. I know that I could not be the kind of coach I am if I had not done a lot of deep personal growth work with myself, because we can only take people as far as we ourselves have gone. The other thing, Clara, I want to say is that getting coached is also key, right? you can learn how to coach through being coached, right? So I'm pretty sure you have a fantastic coach, if I remember correctly. So part of learning how do I coach is through being coached, through having a coach. So that's really important. I'm going to shift gears a little bit. There was something I wanted to talk about in the first show today, and it's called this thing that that I've created. It's called a service versus get meter. So I'm going to explain what I mean by that. So the approach that I was trained in and really created my business out of is a service-based approach, which means there's no selling. There is serving. There is really giving people an experience of being coached deeply. And, if the needle moves enough, people are like, how do I do more of this with you? How do I do more of this? And so it's a very different kind of thing, because many coaches and many people, right, have learned, well, I have to sell, right? Like I have to get people to do my work or to spend money on me. And it's actually the opposite. When we're in that place of like, I need you, I want to get you, people sort of feel repelled by this. They're just like, I don't know what, but you bug me. Like, I feel like I'm like being slimed on. So I'm going to go over here where you're not. Okay. So, service versus get. So it's like, if there was like a meter, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so much in, I want to get you mode. Like it's off the Richter scale. It's like if I offer a conversation to someone as a gift, right? Like, hey, I'm going to offer you time. I think you're really up to cool stuff. And I want to offer you time with me. And by the way, please feel free to say no, like all good. And they go, yeah, no, I'd love to come and do that. Like, I'm working on this thing you saw. Like, I would love to sit with you and just be able to talk it out. And I say, great, come sit with me. And they come and they sit with me. And inside of me, I'm like, ooh, I want this person. Like, I want them as a client. And all of a sudden, the gift is not a gift. Like, I'm like, ooh, how do I talk more about my coaching and them working with me? And how do I get that in the conversation? Or even if I'm thinking it and I'm not articulating it, all of a sudden I'm in get mode. I want to get this person. And that meter has now gone from service to getting. And that almost always, if not always, is a deal breaker. As soon as I'm in get mode, the game is over. Like, I'm not in service. I am not focused on them. I am not focused on what's going on for them. I'm in me, my. How do I make this happen? I have a coach that I'm coaching that she's like a fantastic, has so much commitment to the profession and so much wants to make a difference. And no matter what happens in her conversations, this part starts to come in. Like, I want them to work with me. And we're really slowing it down to go, okay, so in that moment, what is happening inside of you that you are now going from serving to like getting? I want to get them. I need them. It would mean so much to me if they worked with me. And that is the key. So we can't talk about this enough in this profession, that this is the arena that most, if not all, certification programs don't talk about. They do a little bit about marketing. They do a little bit about like creating your website, but they do not talk about like, how do we actually bring people into our work in a way that feels clean and that doesn't feel like I'm trying to get. Alexandros, oh, you're here because of Sophia and the ACS. I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome. So this is enrollment. Service-based enrollment is a critical thing to learn in this profession, right? No matter what, like, I'm going to say this, and it could be not popular, but I'm not in favor of certification programs that don't address once you learn some tools and skills for how to coach, how do you actually create a business as a coach, right? Like I don't think we're doing service to people. I love that more people are coming into the profession. Like I am not someone who's like, oh my gosh, too many coaches now. I don't feel that way. I'm like, there is lots of room for more coaches. What I am not in favor of, coaches being trained and then they're left to like flounder in the wind of how do I do this? And they're left with like, how business, grow my business. So there are very few places that I know of where you can like really learn how to grow your business in a way that teaches you how to be in conversation and how to really connect and how to grow your community. Steve Chandler, when he had his live school, the ACS, that was really where it began. Michelle and I spent many years in the ACS learning and with Steve coaching privately. And now Steve's ACS is all online. You can purchase it. And then my school is a place where it's like, that's all I do. That is all we do. So me, Amber Chris, Steve Chandler, who comes in for a day, Stephen McGee, who comes in for a day, Devin Bandison comes in for a day. The only thing we're doing with the 40 plus coaches who show up every year is let's get you on the court in learning how to grow your business in a way that's not sticky, not creepy, and not needy, which is no small thing. I was like really good at being needy. I was really good at being needy. I was really good at trying to get people to work with me. So I'm not unfamiliar with wanting a client, and I'm not unfamiliar with wanting money, FYI. Like, you know, that is an easy trap as a coach, especially if you actually need money, right? Many people do. So this is one of the most important things to start to work with, right? Like, whether you're new to the business, called how do I start to actually get clients who pay me money, or maybe you're a little further down the road and it's like, ooh, I've gotten one or two clients and now I don't know. What do I do now? Or I've gotten one or two clients and they've paid me $600, but I can't live my life on that, right? That's really critical. We have a coach in the school. I just got off a call. We have a mid-month call where coaches come on and they ask questions and get coaching, like live in real time. And one of the coaches came on and she said, you know, I have this person who I'm in conversation with, and I don't want to do it for $600 anymore. And I said, I really hear you. Like, that's important to pay attention to. She said, I'm not motivated with $600 anymore. So that was her original fee. And Carrie Doubts is here. I love that you're on here sharing. Thank you. Carrie Doubts is a super coach who was my colleague at the University of Santa Monica, and she was such an incredible gift to that organization. I'm so grateful I got to be there with you, Carrie. And Carrie is someone who is she's helped train coaches. She's she knows a lot more about coaching certification programs than I do, frankly. And if people want to connect with her, but she's sharing in her comment that the method she learned from me and from Steve at ACS is the only thing I found that is authentic and that works. So Carrie knows what she's talking about, because Carrie is much more in the loop with certification programs and what they're offering to people around the idea of growing your business. So thank you for sharing, Carrie. If you have a question, I hope you'll ask it. But this coach was like, I'm done. And myself and the other faculty member, Amber Chris, were like, yeah, maybe it's time to raise your fees. And she said, it is. It's time for me to raise my fees. And we talked about it. And I said, you know, look, this is a really important time, right? Like, when you get nudged to raise your fees, you want to do that. And we don't always want to stay at low fees, right? Unless we do. But most coaches don't. Like, most coaches, it's great. Start at $25. Who cares? But at some point, you're going to be like, if I'm going to make a living at this, I'm going to really need to learn how to do it in a way that is sustainable. So sustainability, right? Like I am not interested in helping coaches, make $3,000 and then you're all good. I am interested in coaches learning a system for how to do this over and over and over again in a way that feels good, in a way that makes sense, and in a way that works, right? That people are like, I want this with you. Clara, is there an ideal time for a coach to take your program? For example, I have successfully started with coaching and enrollment. However, it is currently something I'm enjoying on the side of my existing professional career. I do not plan on growing into this as my own large business. My preference is to have 1 to 3 clients. The side, at what stage of the coaching profession would taking your coaching program be most beneficial? Okay, I'm going to do both. So I'm going to answer Clara's question, and then Giselle, I'm going to answer your question. Both are really good. Clara, I had like 3 clients on the side for a long, long time. So just so you know, like I was really never planning on going full time. That was really, Michelle started to talk about that. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I could do that? I never thought I would have my own business and like make my own money and not be paid a check. So I want you to know, like, it is a perfectly great thing to be like, I like my job. I want 1 to 3 clients on the side. That will make me happy. And there are part-time coaches who do that all their lives. And that's fantastic. So there's never a requirement to go full time. And in terms of the timing for coming to the school, the real question you want to ask yourself is like, do I want to learn how to do this easily and gracefully no matter what, at any time? Like am I at a place where having 3 clients consistently, and I want to learn how to do that in a way that works for me, and I'm going to learn consistency for myself. That's your timing, right? Like it's like you're going to know, and you're like, I got to go to the next level with this. I really trust that. It's like when you're like, I want to make more consistent side money. Like I don't want, I really want another client. I hope I get one. Hope is not a great strategy for growing a coaching business. I hope I get another client. I hope it happens. Not an ideal strategy. So I say to you, Clara, like, and I know you have a great coach, right? So like, that's something to talk about with them. Like, is this the ideal time or is it not? Because the school's not going anywhere. It's more like, how called are you to be like, I want to get deeper into this world. I want to learn how to do this even more effectively, even if I'm only going to have a part-time practice. Clara, increasing your fees, you're going to know. You're going to be unmotivated. You're going to be like, I don't want to do this again for $1,000 or $600. It's like an internal nudge, right? Like all of a sudden you're going to have experience having coached people, and you're going to go, wow, they got a lot out of this. It really worked. I think it's time for me to go to another fee. Getting evidence of your coaching really helping someone is often what kind of nudges people to raise their fees. The guideline loosely is if everybody's saying yes to coaching with you, probably time to increase your fees. If everybody is saying no, not yet. Like it might be time to get better at the process of enrollment before you raise your fees. In the beginning, we want it to be easy for you to get clients. We just do. Like we don't want it to be so like the fee is so higher. Fees is requires more in the enrollment process in terms of ability to be with someone and really make it easy on yourself in the beginning. Giselle, I love this question that you asked. Can you describe the transition? In other words, can you model the conversation with current clients when you increase your fees? Good question. So there's no requirement to ever increase your fees with a current client. So I want to say that. You might want to, but you don't have to. Like many of the people who have worked with me, my policy is if you stay working with me, you get to stay at the fee you came in at. If you go away and you come back, you're going to pay the current fee. So obviously that's a lot of motivation for people to stay. Now, that may not make sense if you're a brand new coach and your fees are $50 or $100. So let's say you want to increase your fees and your current client is coming up for renewal. So I'll share. So I'm going to do it with you, Giselle. I'm going to be like, hey, Giselle, like we're coming up on the end of this program that we've been doing. And first, let me slow down. Like, are you still thinking about renewing? Is this something you still want to do? Like, where are you at? And I'm going to sidebar. Now, this depends, right? Some people are like, oh, yeah, I'm in, let's go. Other people, there may be value in being like, you know what, let's take a step back and do a long conversation where we zoom out and go, if we were going to do this again, what would make it really worthwhile? And I will talk about that in the coming weeks. However, Giselle, the way you can do this is you can say, and they go, yeah, I want to renew. What's up? And you say, so listen, I want to let you know, my fees have changed. So clients are now paying me X. And you've been paying me Y. So I do want to let you know, if you'd like to renew, it will be at my new fee. So that's one option. Option two, you could do this. So listen, do you want to renew? And Giselle, of course, says to me, yes, Carolyn, I of course want to renew. Then I say, so I want to let you know, my fees have changed. Clients are now paying me X. And then you go, oh God, wow, your fees have really gone up. I say, yeah. No, my practice is growing, everything's different. They're like, good for you. And I say, yeah, so let me share with you. I'm willing to do another 3 months with you at the fee you came in at. I'm willing to do that. And if you want to do it again after that, you would then go to the new fee. So I'm willing to do one more round at the current fee, and then after that, you would go to the new fee. And then you say, is that something you want to do? So you can give like a period of time where you keep them at the current fee, or you can just say my fees have changed, and then and that means you have to be okay if they go away, right? If they're like, oh wow, I'm just not there, and you go, yeah, great, we've done beautiful work together, so let's make your last session that's coming up super powerful, okay? So Giselle, let me know if that's helpful. Bert, right? It is absolutely okay if you say no. It really is important. All right, we are like seconds away from 2 o'clock. So here's my commitment. Next week, you will see me here on time. There will be no technical difficulties. And next week, we're gonna do some live coaching, okay? So that will be my next level. Giselle, I'm glad it was helpful. And Brianna, awesome. Oh, what's a good place to start when your enrollment conversation well has dried up? That is really important. I'm going to answer that one in a very short way. And then if you come back next week, I promise you we can go deeper into it if you remind me. But the thing when your enrollment conversation well has dried up, it means you need to increase your pond. The way people are doing it right now is like, maybe you do a complimentary webinar. Maybe you find a new place to connect with people. It's like when our pool is tiny, we need to make our pool bigger. We need to grow our community. So I'm going to share that, and we can go more into depth on this next week. And hey, Melissa Ward, I'm so glad you're here. And oh, come on, Rob Donaldson, so glad you're here. Next week, let's do this. And Claudia, awesome to see you. Oh my gosh. And more to come. So if you have stuff you're really interested in, like, hey, can you help me with this? Shoot me a private message on Facebook so I can take it into the topics, and we will do it together. So great day, everybody, and see you next week.